So I just got back from seeing Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, this was directed by Michael Daughtry, who also did Krampus and Trick or Treat. So I know that there was definitely a lot of excitement and buzz generated by horror fans who are big fans of both of those films. And mixing that with something as popular as Godzilla seems like it might be a great fit. This is a film that was completed for a long time. I remember them saying they were finished with it, like ready to show it, special effects done like last year, and they held off just for money. I mean, they wanted to release it now. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do remember reading that a while back. It was supposed to come back out last year. I was a fan of the 2014 Gareth Edwards one. I know that it got a lot of flack for focusing too much on the humans and not having enough Godzilla. I mean, it's the titular character. The fucking movie was called Godzilla, and here we only have 10 minutes or less of screen time. I don't remember what the exact screen time is in the movie, but they wanted more monsters, more fights, and I can completely understand that. This is a fucking Godzilla movie. You want to see more Godzilla. And I would have preferred there to be more Godzilla fights and Godzilla in the original Gareth Edwards one. Especially there's a couple scenes in that where it cuts away right when a battle's about to happen. I think it's at an airport or something. And I was like, what? You're not going to show that? That's some bullshit. But I did do a full spoiler discussion on that video, so you can go check that out there if you want to know my thoughts on that. Now, let's talk about this film. So, now this movie had a stellar cast at its disposal. Millie Bobby Brown, Vera Farmiga, Ken Watanabe, Kyle Chandler, Zhang, I think, yes, that's right. Sally Hawkins, even freaking Eric from Billy Madison's in here. Yes, he's been in plenty of other things, Get Out most memorably recently, but I don't care. He's always fucking Eric to me, and he'll always have a soccer player in his tummy. So, did I like this movie? Not really. No. I think that there's some amazing shots in the film. I think there will be some iconic Godzilla shots that will be memorable to the franchise, for sure. There are some really cool shots in this movie. Where I had an issue with this movie is with the humans. Now, that's funny coming from someone who liked the 2014 version, and a bunch of people said that, that didn't feel like fleshed out humans, or that they were throwaways and this and that. To me, they were way more integral and way more important and way more interesting than in this. Now, I think if you're watching this movie, they try to make the humans in this, seem way more important to it. But I don't agree at all, because nothing makes any fucking sense in this film. There were so many questions throughout the film that I was sitting there trying to answer in my head and kept waiting, maybe this is going to happen. And then another one would come and I'd be like, fuck, I can't even think about that one anymore because now I'm thinking about this one. I don't understand what the hell this is. What the fuck is an oxygen destroyer? Okay, and how does that work? And why does it work? I want to talk about that thing for an entire video because I don't get that fucking thing at all. I was just like, wait, what? The twist that they have in the movie and the way that plays out, and oh my god, I don't want to give spoilers for the movie, but I was like, what? This movie makes no fucking sense. And trust me, I hate to be the person who's sitting here being like, the big monster blockbuster movie didn't make a whole lot of sense and we had to suspend disbelief. I am a person that will suspend disbelief all fucking day for movies like this. But I have a line, and it was crossed many, many times in this film. I was just like, wow, the humans really, it's a hard task. I will not say any different. It is a seriously difficult task to be given a Godzilla movie and be like, we need you to incorporate humans into this and make them matter to the story when there's these, 300-foot tall monsters fighting each other. How do we make the humans important in this without putting them in Jaeger suits from Pacific Rim or something? And it's hard. It's hard. You see how that is in 2014's Godzilla, and now I'm not a big knowledgeable Godzilla person. I have seen the original one from the 50s, and I've seen clips and pieces of other films out of the like Toho collection, all that. I've seen, you know, bits and pieces here and there throughout, but I don't know if I've ever watched anything but the original, the 98 Broderick one, the 2014 one, and this one. So my Godzilla knowledge is limited. So hopefully Godzilla fans, Tiffany, a friend of mine, she's a big fan of these films. I hope she loves it. Maybe she'll get it more than I. But honestly, I didn't really feel like there was as much monster fighting as a lot of people seem to claim. I saw like reviews on this from the big names like Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns and people like that. And they were like, oh, there's like zero plot and just monster action. I don't agree with that. I would not be surprised if someone can clock this in if Godzilla is in this even twice as much as he was in the first film. You can call me fucking crazy on that, but I really didn't feel like we saw him anywhere near as much as people are claiming. And plus the whole like kaiju freaking monsters fighting one another, I didn't feel like there was a ton of that. They're acting like it was half the movie was you know, fighting between monsters. There's only 4 monsters that fight in this entire fucking movie. That is Rodan, Ghidorah, Godzilla, and Mothra. That's it. There are other monsters in this movie, but they don't have any fighting going on in this film. So, yes, we see some other monsters for sure, but I don't know. I expected like Godzilla to be fighting like 15 different monsters in this movie. I thought it was going to be this huge epic battle of like all these monsters back and forth at each other and smashing. It was going to be like the freaking Royal Rumble, WW freaking E or F or whatever the fuck it is now, WWE, right? They're just like smashing in on each other and they're all flying in and all this and that. Another thing this film does, and these are those kinds of things you just have to look past when you're looking at a movie like this because you can't think about logic, but although the monsters are large, the world is so small. Like, there are scenes, and I guess this is technically a teeny spoiler, not really, you can surmise these kinds of stupid things, but like, Godzilla can only swim. He don't have fucking wings or anything. And even if he did, he couldn't really fly that fast. But there's like monsters attacking like the whole world. And somehow they all converge on like the same spot in like 5 minutes. And the reason why some of them do or do not makes no sense at all. None, zero at all. And there was just so many moments like that. I was just like, wait, what? Okay, how the fuck did Godzilla get from this side of the world to this side of the world in 5 minutes? And if he did, how are humans following him there? Like, what speed are we traveling? What speed is he traveling? And as I said, that could be nitpicky stuff in an otherwise fine movie, if I was enjoying the movie. But all the humans in this, and we're talking great performances. I'm not saying the performances are bad. Millie Bobby Brown, Vera Farmiga, freaking all these people. They give good performances, but fuck if they are not used well almost at all. They just tried everything in their power to inject humans into this movie and failed at every turn, in my opinion. Because every time they would try to give a person a purpose, or every time they would try to put a plot device in the movie, they would contradict it. Or it wouldn't really have any impact, or it would try to have more impact than it actually would have. And then they would use things in the movie that you would be like, wait, wouldn't that do the opposite of what you're trying to get done here? It was just so fucking inane, and I was getting annoyed. In addition to that, I had a horrid crowd. Okay, so when I got to the theater, and this did not impact my viewing much, but when you're in a movie you're not really caring for much, this kind of shit can exacerbate it dramatically, for sure. So it had an effect, but because the movie was already in a sharp decline for me, I was like, oh my God, you guys are killing me right now. So I had a woman when I got there who was in front of me, And this is no fault of hers. I'm not blaming her, but she was like, oh, she's one of those older ladies who didn't really understand anything of the modern world, I guess, and was like, can I get a seat? And he's like, well, you have to pick your own. And they pulled the screen up for her, and she's like, well, where is this? And I have a bad back and a neck and my movie's starting here in like a minute. And I'm like, shit. I don't want to be impatient. She's an older woman. I'm not an asshole. So I was like, fuck. So I went over to the kiosk really quick. I had a VIP pass that I wanted to use because, money's been tight lately. And I was like, I don't want to spend my own fucking money right now, but whatever. I can't get in now. This chick's going to take forever. Screw it. So I went over to the kiosk, bought the ticket. So I was like, all right, whatever. Fuck it. As long as the movie's good, I'm not going to give a shit. So I get in there and I have a whole row of teenagers behind me who talk through the entire fucking movie. Then there's a guy in front of me who checks his phone and is texting people every 5 minutes throughout. And then there's a woman who's near the front row, so you can't not notice her because she's right fucking there. She just throughout the movie just kept taking her phone out and taking flash on pictures of the movie. I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Yap, fucking text, snap, flash. I was just like, oh my God, movie wasn't making any fucking sense. People weren't making any fucking sense. Oh, I had a terrible experience with this movie. So, not one I would recommend for sure. They did reference King Kong a whole bunch. It was obvious. It was shoehorned. Just so you know, King Kong versus Godzilla is coming. Skull Island, fucking, King Kong. They kept showing and mentioning Skull Island, King Kong. I was like, okay, we get it. They're gonna fight. I get you're trying to set up your next movie, but it was just so forced. Everything in this movie was so forced. You could just tell they needed to come up with a reason to do this. And then they were like, well, how about this? And it's like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. It's like, well, fuck it. People aren't going to notice. It's a big, giant monster movie. Don't question anything. Just sit back and eat your popcorn and look at the big fucking flashy lights. And I'm not that person. I hang out, the mother of my children, she's like that with action movies. She thinks that all action is fucking stupid. She doesn't care about spectacle at all. And I'm always the one that's like, oh, that's so cool. And, these amazing sequences, fight sequences. I didn't really find the fight sequences in this movie to be all that thrilling. I didn't really fucking find them to be all that stunning. There were moments, there were shots, and they were 2 to 5 seconds long. And there were set locations. They go to this place under the water. And it's really cool looking. But man, that's grasping at very small things to give positives to this film. I don't want to sit here and say it's a 1 out of 10 or anything like that. But below average for me. And that is shocking because I really expected to dig this movie. I really thought it was just going to be a Clash of the Titans. And although we do get that, I think people are being misled by saying oh, there's so much monster action. I disagree. Maybe because they just watched the 2014 version and they're like, oh, well, see, there's way more monster action. Yes, there is more monster action than the 2014 version, but there's not a lot of monster action in that movie. So, twice as much is going to seem like a fuck ton, but in a movie that's over 2 hours long, 2 hours and 12 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if 30 minutes or less, it's less than that, it's a fourth of the movie or less. I bet anything on it. So it's mostly the humans. And all the human shit is boring as fuck. And the spectacle, the anxiety, okay, I beat this to fucking death. This is a frustrating watch for me. And I hope that you guys feel differently, but I've already seen a bunch of friends' reactions and the majority of them are with me. Some enjoyed it. I haven't seen anybody say they loved it yet. I've seen people say, I liked it. That's the best I've seen. So that's not good. All right, guys. Let me know what you thought about this movie if you go see it. And if you don't go see it because of my review, I don't blame you. Adios.